We experience the universe in 3 dimensions: up, down, left, right, forward, and backward. It's how we move, how we build, and how we map the cosmos. In our standard perception, a black hole is a dark, destructive vacuum, a point where gravity tears a hole through our 3-dimensional reality. But the equations of string theory require 10 dimensions to function. This means 6 extra dimensions must exist alongside our own, folded into spaces so small they remain invisible to our instruments. Within this model, a black hole acts as an intersection. It is a physical bridge connecting our observable 3-dimensional universe to that hidden 6-dimensional space. Mapping a particle in this 6-dimensional phase space is a data-heavy task. It requires 6 coordinates to capture position and momentum simultaneously, providing 6 degrees of freedom for every point of movement. We hit a physical limit here. Our brains are not wired to visualize 6 degrees of freedom at once. We cannot internally render an object that moves across 6 different axes of reality. To observe this environment, we have to find a way to compactify that data, taking multidimensional complexity and folding it into a footprint that fits within our 3-dimensional vision. Understanding the 6D universe isn't about seeing more. It's about finding the specific geometric lens that projects higher dimensional movement downward into our own reality. This is achieved through mathematical projection. By applying specific constraints, complex structures, like a 6-dimensional icosahedral lattice, can be mathematically forced into a 3-dimensional perspective. The spirograph is a physical manifestation of this logic. Invented in the year 1965 by Dennis Fisher, it uses a simple gear system to map out complex geometric curves. The mechanic is straightforward. An inner circle gear rolls along the track of a fixed outer circle. It cannot slip and it cannot leave the track. This produces a guilloche, a pattern used in everything from Roman mosaics to neoclassical architecture. These designs use 2 ribbons that wind around a series of central points, creating an interlocking, repetitive border. These patterns provide a blueprint for dimensional compression. They show how a single, continuous line can fold an enormous amount of movement into a very small, observable area. The math behind these drawings is found in the hypotrochoid trajectory equations, which determine the path of a fixed point rolling inside another circle. The shape is governed by 2 parameters, k, the ratio of the circles, and l, the pen's distance from the center. These equations force the line to constantly wriggle and interlock. It covers a vast amount of area, becoming incredibly dense while never breaking the loop or escaping the boundary of the outer circle. This is how a 6D space would interact with our reality. The intersection wouldn't appear as a void, but as a region of extreme mathematical density. In 6D space, a particle's physical path is defined by apsidal precession, a steady rotation of its entire orbital line. When that 6-dimensional movement is projected into our universe at the point of a singularity, it takes the form of a guilloche, an endlessly repeating path constrained within a finite space. The hypotrochoid equation acts as a cage for data, trapping the infinite complexity of higher dimensions inside an inescapable observable footprint. 19th-century engineers like Peter Hubert des Vignes recognized the utility of this density and began building machines to automate the process. These engine-turning machines were designed to engrave incredibly dense guilloche patterns into metal with mathematical precision. This was the birth of security printing. Banks used these interwoven, overlapping lines on currency because they were impossible to reverse engineer. The mathematical trajectories were too complex for a forger to untangle. A black hole functions with the same structural integrity. The intersection between our reality and 6D space is protected by its own geometric complexity. At this boundary, the 6-dimensional electromagnetic tensor and the gravitational field integrate into a mesh of interlocking trajectories. The result is a region where data is packed so densely that no light or information can untangle itself to escape. We find the same logic in high-end horology. Precision watches often feature guilloche waves engraved into their internal movements, an aesthetic choice that relies on the same geometric principles. The geometry connects the banknote in your wallet to the singularity of a black hole. When you look at an antique watch or a child's spirograph drawing, you are seeing how the universe manages the extreme complexity of a six-dimensional reality by folding it into a pattern we can finally comprehend.